Welcome to Web3 and Me, presented by FLOLiO. I am your host, Jeremy Weber, joined, as always, by my wonderful co-host in the Netherlands, Dan Vondelok. Dan, how are we doing today? It was a victorious Sunday for your boy Max Verstappen. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, weekend was good. Yeah, I mean, every weekend is good when Max Verstappen wins, and that seems to be many weekends. I think it's number 10 so far.
I mean, right now everyone else is competing for second, third, whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's basically over at this point.
Definitely.
So, congratulations there. Before we get into it today, please like the show, subscribe to the FLOLiO channel. We really appreciate that. It helps us out a ton. Most importantly, go to FLOLiO.com, FLOLiO.com. Check out all the free NFT tools we got over there. We're going to be discussing the y00ts launch. Nothing about what we say today is financial advice. We're recapping what happened, giving our opinions on it, but do your own research before making any buy or sell decisions. So, Dan, let's jump into it. We talked on Friday's show that the y00ts launch would be happening Sunday. That didn't quite go on. It got pushed, which it's funny. There are websites that you could bet on whether the y00ts launch would get delayed a second time. The betting odds were that it would get delayed. Like that was the favorite. Was to be delayed. So it was delayed from Sunday afternoon until Monday, kind of early evening U.S. time. There were some issues with the minting process. I think there was just a ton of people trying to do it all at once. So some people were getting an error message, but it did go through pretty well for the most part. Like especially if you had patience, because it was a 19-hour mint. So if you had patience, you could definitely mint it no problem. I think the people who were complaining and who were jumping into it right away were the ones who were just trying to make a quick flip.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to get it as quick as possible before the floor went down. So that was some of the minting. What were your initial thoughts on it and any other issues that you saw?
I must have missed it because it was like maybe it's been a very awkward time when the mint went live in EU. I can't remember
Yeah,
honestly.
it was probably like 2 a.m. your time.
Oh well, there you go. Yeah, I mean, I woke up, I checked the floor, and I was like, okay, it's not that bad, right? Like, what is the percentage? Like the ratio, if you happen to know.
So right now there's 100. The floor is 138.33. There is about 195,000 SOL in total volume. So it's 138.33 SOL. The price to mint was 375 dust, which is like $1,100 US at the time. Solana's going around $30 right now, so it's a nice little. It was a very nice return on your investment. Like if you got one, it was an automatic 4, 5, 6x on your initial investment. So that's great. We've seen, like I said, a ton of volume. There aren't a lot of them listed for sale. Only 357 listed for sale. I don't see a total supply at the moment because the mint is still going on. Last I heard this morning, a little over 10,000 had been minted of the 15,000 that are going to be possible. The DeGods holders have a little bit more time to mint, and then eventually the price will go up for them to mint. So they're all going to want to get that done here within the first 48 hours of the minting process. So that's what's going on with the current floor. Let me look real quick at the DeGods floor, and why don't you talk about the mistake they made as far as not being able to see what ones had been used yet.
Yeah, this is something that's so extremely mind-boggling that there isn't enough words to describe this screw up, right? So, as far as I understand, the DeGods, they could claim a y00ts, right? I'm hoping this is correct.
Yeah.
And good.
Well,
because if it's not,
it was a dead god. So this is where it gets kind of confusing.
Okay.
The initial DeGods, you can pay in dust to kind of change it and make it a dead god, and you had to have a dead god to get a y00ts. So
gotcha.
But yes, essentially the DeGods were able to claim a y00ts.
Yeah, so you couldn't see which one actually has claimed a y00ts. And the problem is people claim and they list it for floor, right? But the issue is that you want to have people buying your DeGods to then claim a y00ts. And because, I mean, that incites purchasing, right? That incites secondary market activity. But if you do not have a trade that says claimed or some sort of
part, most of them have it on the Mint website for a secondary
Yeah,
collection, right?
like a checker kind of. But because they don't have this, no one feels safe buying a DeGod knowing they can claim it. So that completely stagnates all kind of secondary action, and that's bad for a project.
Yeah, the secondary action on DeGods has just been the floor going down. It's still at a strong floor. It's only gone down to 439. The highest I saw it over the weekend was 585. I'm not sure if it touched 600. I saw it at 585. But yeah, that is such a big oversight. And they had to come out and basically say, like, if you see a DeGod, like after the minting began, if you see a DeGod listed for the floor, don't buy it expecting to get a Ute because it's probably already claimed. So the fact that they had to do that and didn't have, I mean, this team is supposed to be pretty smart. And this is, if you've been in NFTs for any amount of time and you've ever minted a secondary collection, to check to see if the primary has already used its secondary claim. Like, it's just how it is. I don't understand. This was probably the biggest screw up of the whole thing. Is it going to kill the project? No, but it is definitely something that's like, come on, guys, you got to give more thought than this. Like, they dropped the ball on that one for sure.
Yeah, and then
okay, go ahead.
Okay, I will proceed. There was some more Twitter drama because that's kind of how it goes. And this is between Franklin and Frank. The two Franks are battling it out on the interwebs, and this time it's about how Franklin got the youth list and proceeded to flip it immediately, because that's kind of how Franklin is. And let's say Frank didn't very much enjoy that. I believe he tweeted at Franklin saying how he should have like revoked his access or something.
Yeah.
And then a whole lot of people were like, "Wow, why are you self-shaming him?" And then Frank, he replied to everyone saying, "Oh, this bunch of like Ethereum NPCs are writing like a whole like essay about me." And either way, there was a lot of drama and a lot of back and forth between Frank and the Ethereum blockchain, and he wasn't too happy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Frank was expecting. Like, Franklin flips everything. And for those who don't know who Franklin is, he's a very well-known Bored Ape Yacht Club holder on Twitter. He owns like 60 apes. He is notorious for flipping and like making a ton of buys and sells. He was part of the Ben Dow, liquidity concern, which turned out to not be a big deal. And he's just known for, taking a project, flipping it for a 10, 15% return, and then tweeting out the results of it. And he tweeted out, how much he made from flipping his Ute. Frank, the head of the DeGods team, or like the public-facing head of the DeGods team, had like put out a little 2-word tweet with a skull, and it turned into like this whole thing. I don't think Frank, he says he was joking around. I believe him. It's, Twitter has been so contentious and so just annoying lately. Like, the market's slow and people want anything they can get to argue about. I think it's just stupid at this point. One other final detail about the Utes drop before we get into some more stuff. The reveal should be happening within the next week, although if you were to put money on it, you would probably want to bet that it's going to be delayed past when they initially say it's going to happen. And there's a 10% chance for getting a rare. So I believe it's 90% are going to be commons, 10% rares. I would expect that the floor price will go down after the reveals begin. The floor price of the revealed Utes will be lower than the floor price of the tubes. So this is just the same thing that we've seen with CloneX mint vials, with the mutant serums from BAYC. Like, there's really nothing that's going to differentiate this. And we've all seen that the mint vial carries a premium because of the fact that you could pull a rare. So just something to keep in mind there. If you're buying a Ute tube now and you're expecting the floor price of the revealed ones to be higher than the tubes, you're going to be disappointed. If you think that, like, hey, they're going to continue to go up, because we saw it with, mutant serums where the floor, after reveal, floor started going down. It took a pretty big dip. At one point, serums were going for like 3 ETH for an M1, 6 for an M2, and then they like skyrocketed. So it could be a situation where if you have the patience, which most people don't, especially on Solana, because it's a gambling blockchain basically, if you have the patience and the conviction to hold on to those tubes, that's going to see a better return over time than a common Ute. So your odds of getting a rare are not great. And I don't even know if the rares proportionally
Yeah.
are going to trade for the premium. The risk reward there is not worth it. There's no way that a rare Ute is going to trade for 9 or 10x a common Ute. Like, it just can't.
And
So I think you're probably better off selling your tube pre-reveal if you're just trying to capitalize on money. Now, if you're trying to be part of the project long term and you believe in this team, then you should probably just mint your Ute and move on from there.
yeah, and do we know what the Utes are going to look like? Like, has there been any sort of
Daniel, if
teaser?
you've been looking at our thumbnails on Twitter,
Oh, that's them.
For this YouTube, yes, that's them.
I haven't seen them.
We're posting them on our thumbnail.
I haven't seen them. Hold up.
Damn, Daniel.
Damn, they're back at the game and not checking the thumbnail. Yeah, that's them. They're like the little hairy boys.
Like furry looking things, yeah.
Okay, they look cool. Do we know what's rare? 10% rare? Do we know what that entails?
No. One cool thing that's going to happen, though, is over time, you're going to be able to pay, I believe in Dust, to change some of the traits. And they're going to have, like, they're going to bring in, but it's cool, though. They're bringing in, like, well-known artists in the space to create traits that you can then pay to change your use. So I think that's a pretty cool idea. Like, I haven't seen anyone, I've seen, like, the ability to customize kind of, but I've never seen it to where they bring in, artists in the NFT space who create like individual traits that you can then buy. So I think that's a cool idea.
It's a cool idea. I'm a little bit wary of it. I have to like hold back my opinion a little bit until I see everything unfold. But maybe this becomes a new thing. Maybe.
Yeah.
I've seen some ideas about it like go around like, oh yeah, you can customize your NFT. But I wonder about the impact of being able to customize the traits itself. Maybe that kind of smooths over every single NFT as being floor, because everything is customizable to a point. So I wonder how far that goes.
Yeah, what I would like to see in that situation is that you have a limited time to buy that one trait. So say they announce like, hey, here's a new shirt that they can wear, and it was designed by somebody. You have like 48, 72 hours to make the decision to change that trait. And then it's never changeable. Like, that trait is never available again, and so it creates a little bit more scarcity that way. I think that kind of gamifies it more and makes it a little bit cooler.
I think what would maybe be a good idea is you can use that idea and maybe bind it to like a POAP, where you have like wearable POAPs on your NFT. So then you could maybe say like, oh look, when mutants were minting, I was there when I had my ape, and now look, my ape has this like mutant patch on its shoulder or something, where I can show that I was present during the minting. So maybe something like that is a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, it's possible. I don't really want to touch too much more on the drama. I think we'll let things unfold. Some people are being very are just coping hard with the fact that they didn't get free money. I did not even apply for the U list. I don't care. I'm happy that people are doing that. It's going well so far. I hope it continues to go well. Like, it's just it got a lot of attention on the NFT space, and I want that attention to be positive. So let's just let's not be assholes to each other on social media. Okay, that's pretty lame. So another thing that came out a few minutes after the minting began, it was either the minting or the secondary activity began. Dust Labs, who is the creators of DeGods and y00ts, announced that they've raised $7 million in funding. Investors include FTX Ventures, Solana Ventures, as well as Magic Eden, amongst others. So kind of interesting to see that the Solana blockchain itself, their venture fund, backed this a little bit. Magic Eden, the main Solana secondary marketplace, has had a very tight connection with DeGods because it's the biggest collection on Solana. They're backing it as well. There are other investors as well, but these seemed like the most relevant ones to the NFT space. So $7 million was raised, 50% of that being in equity in Dust Labs, the other 50% being given in the Dust token. So they didn't disclose what the valuation was. I've heard from a Twitter user, he goes by Easy Eats Bodega. He's one of the more well-known and well-respected Solana influencers, if you will, on Twitter. Very sharp guy, deep in the Solana space. He has been told that it was for 10% of Dust Labs. So basically putting the valuation at 70 million for Dust Labs right now. We've seen the Dust token. It dipped after the minting started. Then this announcement came, It popped up to $3. So it dipped down to like 250, popped up to 3. Last I checked before we started recording, it was at 215 a token. So it has pulled back. Everything in crypto is pulling back at the moment, but it has pulled back. I think that there could be a really good entry point here if you're interested in, buying into the Dust Labs team and what they're creating. But, I think like selling 10% equity or 10% stake is not a bad thing at all. Like, I think that's probably very good for them. They are hosting an AMA Twitter Spaces with 2 of the founders, including Frank, on Thursday. They haven't given a time for that yet. We'll retweet it from the FLOLiO Twitter account, so follow us there, FLOLiO_. And they'll be answering questions from the community about, the venture backing deal, and I'm assuming like what's going on with y00ts as well.
So, I mean, one would say that at 10%, like them selling off 10% is maybe a sign of strength, right? Because they could have sold off 40%, 50%, maybe majority stake, and that kind of smells desperate to me, right? If someone sells off 40 or 50%, smells like, desperation. But 10%, I guess it's just enough for them to be able to do everything that they want to do, with more funding. So I think the fact that they only did 10% is I would consider it fairly bullish, right?
Yeah, and I think 7 million. I think it's a good idea that they took that number. Like, a lot of places get in trouble because they take a huge valuation number, and that puts even more pressure on them. But a 70 million valuation is not crazy, especially when you consider how well they've done with DeGods so far, how much money they've made. That 7 million they'll be able to put to work right away. I also think that this is a very good thing for the team. And Frank, who we've talked about plenty, he's only 23 years old. He's a young guy, and he's revealed that before. He's still anon. Like, he was on. It was funny looking. He was on Kevin Rose's podcast, YouTube show, and he was wearing like a hat and glasses, like almost a mask, basically, like just keeping himself secret. But he did say that he's only 23 years old, and that's been a point of like people holding that against him because he's so young. Which I get it. He's young. He's inexperienced. But then you can't get mad at the VC side of things because this is him getting help and guidance. The VCs want him to succeed, so he's going to be able to go to them pretty regularly for advice if he wants. And this is going to be a way for him to, them to help him scale the business faster, give him advice that he needs to better run this business as it grows. So I think overall the VC funding is a very good thing. I hope the narrative is starting to change because we do need VC funding in Web3 if we're going to survive this bear market. So, overall, I think it's a win for everyone involved. For
sure, and I don't think 23 is too young to have a successful project. I mean, you add a couple of years, and suddenly you're fully fledged grown up. And I mean, one could argue that the 23-year-old has an edge over a 50-year-old in this space. I mean, you need connections, you need to be in touch with your fan base, and I think it's predominantly like 20 to 30-year-olds, I suppose.
And they're trying to be like a software company as well. Like, they're doing innovative stuff. They're working on the software as a service side of things. I don't know a ton of the details around it, what exactly they're trying to build. I just know that that's what they're focused on, and their ability to network and connect with these people is only going to be a positive for them in the long run. So anyone who's talking bad about this or saying that they shouldn't have raised, or on the other hand saying they didn't raise enough, is like, just let them do their thing. Like, they know their business better than we do. So, I think good things are to come. I'll be keeping an eye on, the tubes and the DeGods and seeing if they pull back, because I think I don't own any Solana NFTs, but because a lot of them, in my opinion, and what we've seen over and over again, turn out to be rugs. But this is probably the one project I'd be willing to dip my toe in off the bat.
Yeah, likewise. It seems really good. I also don't have any y00ts or DeGods or anything Solana. I'm, as you could call, an Ethereum Andy. Don't really have much to do on the other blockchain. I honestly, I still should have, I still should do more research on other chains, just because there's stuff that flies by your ears, right? You can't, like, maybe we could have seen DeGods coming or something if we, paid more attention, but we didn't. So, always worth to check out different chains for sure.
100%. Being a maxi is very rarely, the most profitable decision long term. So, looking at Solana, looking at Tezos, not Cardano. No one gives a shit about Cardano. But looking at those other two blockchains are probably a good idea moving forward. Any final words about y00ts, about the Dust Labs fundraise, anything like that, Dan?
I guess not. I kind of said what I wanted to say. Still kind of. Well, the only thing I want to say is I'm kind of unsure about the minting with their. With their, wait, is it? Yeah, it's their token, right? Because it's Dust. I mean, I assume it's their token because they're called like Dust Labs, right? I'm kind of unsure about doing that. It often leaves people in a pretty sticky spot. Other than that, it seems fine. Honestly, looking forward to the reveal.
I guess one thing with the fundraise, like I said, they gave 50% of it in Dust token. That is like, it's none of it can be sold for a year, and there's like a 4-year in total vesting schedule. Okay. So it's going to be a while before all that money is in the hands of the the VCs who invested. So there's always some concern about that. They gave it a lot of thought up front, so that's happening. I think it makes sense that they did the mint in their token. Yuga did the other deeds mint in ApeCoin. I'm not surprised that DeGods is doing this. And I'm just excited to kind of see what they have in store. I'll be I'm heading out to Vegas tomorrow, but I'll probably listen into that Twitter Spaces while I'm at the poker tables in Vegas. So, should be interesting.
Sounds amazing.
For sure. Yep. All right, man. That is going to do it for today. Dan will be covering content for the rest of the week. He'll be back on Friday for the market recap show. Hopefully, he has some good information to discuss there. Maybe I'll just jump on while I'm while I'm gambling in Vegas, like see if let me chat on there. But no, thank you for watching, everybody. Once again, please like the stream, subscribe to our channel, and head to FLOLiO.com for all of your NFT portfolio management needs. So for Dan, for the rest of the team at FLOLiO, thank you for watching. Have a great day, everybody. We will see you next time.
Bye-bye.